Okay, my friends, here it is. The video that has been much requested and long awaited on how to make the fish amino acids fertilizer in the tradition of the Korean natural farming. So I'm going to say some things about it, and then I will take you in the basement and I will show you exactly how to make this beautiful elixir. So many of you are asking yourselves, Nate, you've already showed us how to make two amazing fish fertilizers, the J-Dom fish fertilizer and the fish hydrolysate. Why do we need a third? Here is why, guys. Because the J-Dom fish fertilizer is, no matter what you do, it's got that putrid stench of death. Pretty much all the way through. It goes away to a degree, but the fish amino acids, there is no smell at all if you do it right. In particular, if you end the process right, like I'm going to show you, then you end up with this. Look how thick it is. Listen to that. It's so thick, it's like oily. It's so much more concentrated. The J-Dom stuff is like water, and the fish hydrolysate is more like water. It's good, but this fish amino acids is what I personally use. And I foliar spray with it. I apply it to the soil. Everything that it touches loves it. You will see your stuff explode with growth this year. So I'm going to show you how to make it now, because if you make it sometime in the next 2 or 3 weeks, then you will have it just in time for the season, because it is very rich in all kinds of plant available nutrients, but in particular the nitro and all the good things that make plants explode with growth. So we're going to apply this stuff definitely the first half of the season to things like tomatoes and peppers and all that stuff. And leafy greens we can apply all season long, guys. But I'll get into that when we come back, because right now I'm going to take you downstairs and show you how to make it. Then when we come back, I will show you how to utilize this, including dilution rates and everything. Okay, guys, first thing we want to do is get a scale. Yes, don't count on eyeballing it, okay? We want to get the scale, and then don't forget to tare it so you don't weigh the weight of the container. Next thing is we want to take our fish. These we had caught several months ago, and they have been frozen. Yes, you can freeze the fish. It doesn't make any difference. You just got to make sure they're nice and thawed out by the time you go to use them. Yes, you can use ocean fish or pond fish, whatever you have. So the next thing we're going to do is weigh everything. And here we've got 11.7 pounds. We're going to round up to 12. We'll say we have 12 pounds, give or take. The next ingredient is the brown sugar, guys, and it's very important that we use the sugar, the brown sugar, because the osmotic pressure that is created from the sugar molecules is going to draw out the nutrients and digest the fish. So it's important to use the brown sugar because it's got the cane molasses in it, all right, for the micronutrients. Now we've got 14 pounds. Give or take. We'll round it up to 14. So you want to use a 1-to-1 ratio by weight of fish to sugar. But I'm going to use, I like to use a little bit more actually. So we're going to use all 14 pounds for this 12 pounds of fish. Now we're going to start with a big thick layer of sugar on the bottom, about 1 inch thick. And then into that we're going to place the fish fillets. We're going to place the fish. If you have chunks of fish, this is fine as well. You just place them in there so that they all make contact with the fish. And that's actually what's the most important, is that the fish, you really want to press it in there like this so that it's getting totally contact with that brown sugar. And then we're going to put a nice fluffy layer over the top. And don't skimp on the sugar, guys. You really want to make sure that you're covering it completely. You see how I'm kind of fluffing it up? And then we're just going to layer the stuff in there, guys. It's going to go like that. Now, if we have some that are too big, we just cut them in half and we can layer it in there like this. But don't go overboard on making the layers too thick of fish. You want to have plenty of the sugar in there. Don't let the fish overlap and stuff. This is important because we want all the surface area of the fish to be touching the sugar. And then we're just going to fill up the rest of the bucket like this, guys. You're going to have to eyeball how much fish to sugar and how thick to make them. But once we get all the way to the top like this, here is our last layer. This is all just the little tiny fillet type stuff. So here's the very important thing, guys. We end it on a thick layer of the sugar, 2 to 3 inches. So reserve enough of the sugar to make a nice thick layer up top. And this is what's going to help make sure that the smell doesn't that the smell doesn't happen. And so we're just going to pat this down. We're going to pat it down very firmly because we want everything to have a nice contact with the sugar molecules. And yes, we're using food grade, heavy duty food grade buckets, and we're leaving it about half full. You could even do 2/3 full, but don't go more than that. We need a bit of airspace because all kinds of stuff's going to happen. Now, here is where I differ from the KNF recipe. They use IMO, but it's a big, lengthy, drawn-out process to make IMO. So instead, I use that high-quality leaf mold, guys. High-quality leaf mold has got all the microorganisms that we need. Now, you could omit that step. You could just do the fish and the sugar, but I found better results utilizing the leaf mold. Just a light sprinkling of it. Next thing we want to do is label the ferments, guys. You're not going to remember otherwise. And then we place it into an area where it's about 70 to 80 degrees. And you also could put it on a heat mat set at 75 degrees. Place it on that nice warm heat mat. We want it to be about 70 to 80 degrees. This one's kind of important. Now here we are just one day later, guys. And look, we look in and we see the osmotic pressure has already started drawing out the nutrients. The microorganisms are already going to work. This is going to be some beautiful stuff, guys. Okay, now I want to say you can add an airlock if you want. An airlock, watch my other fish fertilizer videos, and I do use an airlock. That tends to keep the smell down of the JDOM type fish fertilizers. But of this one, you really don't need it. You can though. If you want to put an airlock, go ahead. It helps, but it doesn't matter. You could also just totally leave it open and put a screen over it if you have that kind of environment. The air exchange doesn't matter. It's not like making wine or something where we have to keep out the oxygen. That doesn't matter, okay? So long as we put that thick layer of sugar on top with some of that high quality leaf mold, guys. And remember that the leaf mold, in my opinion, is even better than IMO because the original recipe calls for the IMO, but you don't have to worry about that. We're just gonna simplify it. So how do we use this stuff? Now, the JDOM stuff we use at an ounce per gallon, okay? That's how we typically use the stuff. But this stuff, the fish amino acids, is so much more concentrated. We only have to use barely a teaspoon per gallon. That's going to be, KNF calls for 1 to 1,000 dilution ratio. And that would be 1 milliliter per liter. And that's slightly less than a teaspoon per gallon of water. And we can apply that to the leaves. We can apply that to the soil. Everything is going to love it. And this is going to be a critical component to our aerated compost teas that I'm going to show you guys how to make this summer, which those will be the only elixirs that your plants will need. Your entire garden will thrive with these aerated compost teas. Now, one more thing is, how do we get it out of there? You want to wait until it digests for at least a month to 2 months, but preferably 4 to 6 months. All right, so you can take some of it off though. You're gonna see it's gonna liquefy and you can take some of it off. Sorry, I don't have footage of it, of the years past, but this is my first time making it this season. So a good way to do it, guys, get yourself a 5-gallon paint strainer just from the hardware store. Get a paint strainer like that and then put it into a smaller container like this, and then just pour off some of the liquid from the top. And if you get some of the solids in there, not a problem. Just take the paint strainer and then dump the stuff back into the bucket and let it continue to digest, all right? So once it mostly liquefies in about a month or so, if you keep it at between 70 and 80 degrees, then you will be good to go, okay? It's not a hard and fast science on exactly when you need to pour it off. Now, if on the chance that it does start smelling really rancid, you can spray Pure Labs directly just on the surface. Put it in a spray bottle and just spray the labs directly on the surface. If you want to know how to make labs, then watch my video on it. Okay, my friends, let me know if you have any questions, and we will see you right here every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern time. We have a live Q&A where you can ask questions about all this kind of stuff. Also, check out our growing Discord community. It's free. It's like a chat room for the Viking tribe, and you guys can share pictures of your garden and all kinds of stuff. Also, check out the links in the description to the Amazon storefront. Anything that you purchase using those links gives me a small kickback. It's not sponsorship, it's just Amazon links. So we will see you next time, my friends.